If she is always in your mind without any communication, it means she matters. But what does that really mean? It means she left an impression on you so strong that even in silence, her presence lingers. She's not just another person who walked in and out of your life unnoticed. She's someone who, in some way, shaped your thoughts, emotions, or perspective. People don't just stay in our minds for no reason. Think about it. We meet countless individuals in life, have brief conversations, share moments, and then move on. But every once in a while, someone comes along who changes us. It could be the way they made us feel, the lessons they unknowingly taught us, or the way they fit into our world like they were always meant to be there. When that happens, they become more than just a person we knew. They become part of our story. And when someone becomes part of your story, they don't just disappear, even when they're physically absent. If she is in your mind constantly, it's because her impact was real. Maybe it was the way she laughed at your jokes, making you feel like the funniest person in the room. Maybe it was the way she understood you, listened when no one else did, and made you feel seen. Or maybe it was the way she challenged you, pushed you to be better, or even walked away, teaching you a lesson you never wanted to learn. We don't always recognize the significance of someone while they're in our lives. Sometimes it takes their absence for us to truly understand their value. You may not have realized how much she mattered until the conversation stopped, the texts went unanswered, and the routine of having her around disappeared. And now, without any contact, you still find yourself thinking about her. That's not just a coincidence. That's the mark of someone who made a difference in your life. The mind has a way of holding on to things that matter. You don't think about random people from years ago with the same intensity, do you? You don't wake up in the middle of the night remembering conversations with people who meant nothing. But her, she still crosses your mind. Her name still carries weight. Her memory still sparks something in you. That's because she wasn't just anyone. She was someone. The tricky part is understanding why she still occupies your thoughts. Is it because of love, longing, regret? Sometimes people stay in our minds because of what they represented. Maybe she symbolized hope, happiness, or a future you once envisioned. Maybe she was a reminder of a time when life felt exciting, when emotions were raw and real. Or maybe she was the one who got away, the one you didn't appreciate enough when you had the chance. It's also possible that she remains in your thoughts because she was tied to a version of yourself that you miss. People often associate memories with emotions. And if she was there during a time when you felt alive, inspired, or truly yourself, then thinking of her might actually be a way of longing for that version of you again. But here's the thing, just because she's on your mind doesn't necessarily mean she belongs in your life. Sometimes people leave a lasting impact, not because they are meant to return, but because they were meant to teach us something. Maybe she was there to show you what love should feel like. Maybe she was a reminder that you are capable of deep emotions. Maybe she was meant to help you grow in ways you didn't expect. Still, it's worth asking yourself, is she in your thoughts because you truly want her back, or because you haven't fully processed what she meant to you? Sometimes we mistake nostalgia for love. We hold on to the idea of someone rather than the reality of who they were. Memories have a way of filtering out the bad and holding on to the good, making it easy to romanticize the past. But if she was truly meant to stay, wouldn't she still be there? Wouldn't there be communication, effort, and a mutual desire to stay connected? At the end of the day, if she is still in your mind, she mattered. That's undeniable. The real question is, what do you do with that? Do you reach out and see if the connection is still there? Or do you take the lesson, cherish the memory, and allow yourself to move forward? Either way, her presence in your thoughts is a sign that she was important, even if just for a moment in time. And sometimes that's enough. If she is always in your mind without any communication, it means there is unfinished business. Something between you two remains unresolved. Whether it's love that was never fully expressed, an apology that was never given, or a goodbye that never truly happened. When someone lingers in your thoughts long after they've left your life, it's often because your heart and mind are still searching for closure. Unfinished business can take many forms. Maybe you never had the chance to tell her how you really felt. You assumed there would always be time, that another opportunity would come, but life had other plans. Now, you replay moments in your head, wondering if things would have been different if you had just spoken up. Did she feel the same way? Was she waiting for you to say something? The uncertainty keeps you stuck in a loop of what ifs and regrets. Or perhaps there was a misunderstanding, an argument, or a sudden ending that left questions unanswered. Sometimes people walk away not because they want to, but because they don't know how to stay. Maybe she left without explaining why. Maybe you made a mistake and never got the chance to make it right. Or maybe she was the one who wronged you, and you never received the apology you deserved. Either way, the lack of closure leaves an open wound, one that your mind keeps revisiting, trying to make sense of something that was never fully resolved. Unfinished business isn't just about words left unsaid. It's also about emotions that were never fully processed. Love doesn't just disappear because communication stops. If you loved her, if she meant something to you, that feeling doesn't vanish overnight. Instead, it lingers, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting for an outlet. You may find yourself thinking about her at random moments, triggered by a song, a scent, or a familiar place. It's as if your heart is reminding you that something still needs to be dealt with. One of the hardest parts of unfinished business is the feeling of incompleteness. When a relationship or connection ends suddenly, it feels like a book with missing pages, a story without an ending.
You crave resolution, but without communication, you're left to create your own.
And the mind, in its search for answers, often clings to hope. Maybe fate will bring you back together. Maybe one day the universe will give you the conversation you need to finally move on. But here's the truth. Sometimes closure doesn't come from another person. Sometimes it comes from within. You may never get the explanation you seek. She may never come back to give you the clarity you want, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But waiting for closure that may never arrive only prolongs the pain. The real challenge is learning to find peace on your own, to accept that some things don't have perfect endings. Ask yourself, what is it that you truly need to move forward? Do you need to forgive her? Do you need to forgive yourself? Do you need to accept that some love stories end without a reunion? The sooner you recognize that closure is something you create, not something you receive, the sooner you can free yourself from the weight of the past. If she is still in your thoughts, it's because she played a role in your life that meant something. That's a fact. But instead of focusing on what was left unfinished, focus on what you gained from knowing her. Did she teach you about love, about yourself, about what you want and don't want in life? Every experience, even the ones that leave us with unanswered questions, has something to offer. Unfinished business can feel like a heavy chain, keeping you tied to the past, but it doesn't have to. If reaching out to her is an option and you feel it would bring you peace, then do it. Say what you need to say. Ask the questions that have been haunting you. But if that's not possible, if she has moved on or if the door has truly closed, then your healing must come from within. She is in your mind because something was left undone. But that doesn't mean you have to stay stuck. You have to stay stuck. Take what you've learned, honor the feelings, and then make a choice to either seek the resolution you need or to create it for yourself. Either way, life doesn't pause for unfinished business, and neither should you. If she is always in your mind without any communication, it might not be love or unfinished business. It might simply be that your mind is playing tricks on you. The human mind has a way of holding on to things, especially when emotions are involved. Memories don't just disappear. They resurface when triggered by a song, a place, a scent, or even a random thought. But just because you think about someone often doesn't necessarily mean they are meant to be in your life. Sometimes it's just nostalgia making you believe they are more important than they actually are. Mind has a funny way of filtering memories. It tends to highlight the good moments while quietly erasing the bad. This is why people often look back at past relationships or connections and only remember the laughter, the deep conversations, and the way she made them feel special. They forget the fights, the miscommunications, the incompatibilities, or the moments of doubt. The past is often romanticized because it is no longer real. It exists only in memory, where it can be reshaped to fit an idealized version of what once was. Think about it. When you remember her, do you remember her as a whole person with flaws, imperfections, and complexities? Or do you remember only the best parts? If your mind only replays the good times, then what you're holding on to isn't her. It's an illusion, and illusions are powerful. They make us chase after things that no longer exist, keeping us stuck in a loop of longing for something that might never have been as perfect as we remember it. Another way the mind plays tricks is by associating people with emotions rather than reality. Maybe she was in your life during a time when you were happy, inspired, or full of hope. Maybe she represented excitement, adventure, or a version of yourself that you miss. If that's the case, then what you truly long for isn't her. It's the feeling you had when she was around. You don't necessarily miss her as a person. You miss how she made you feel. But feelings change, and people do too. Holding on to a memory because of the way it made you feel in the past can prevent you from fully embracing the present.
The mind also has a way of making us want what we can't have.
When someone is unavailable, whether due to distant circumstances or lack of communication, they become even more desirable. The fact that she is absent makes her presence in your mind even stronger. This is why people often want things more when they are out of reach. The idea of her becomes bigger than the reality of who she is. She becomes a symbol of mystery, of longing, of unfinished possibilities. But is she really the person you built up in your head? Or is she just an idea at this point? Another trick the mind plays is creating emotional attachments to people who were never meant to stay. Just because someone crosses your mind repeatedly doesn't mean they were your soulmate or that they belong in your life forever. Some people come into our lives to teach us lessons, to challenge us, or to change us in some way. Their presence was significant, yes, but that doesn't always mean they were supposed to stay. The mind doesn't always recognize this distinction. It just holds on to whatever had an emotional impact, regardless of whether it was truly meant to last. The danger of letting the mind control your perception is that it can keep you from moving forward. If you keep replaying old memories, comparing new experiences to the past, or believing that no one else will ever make you feel the way she did, you might be closing yourself off to new possibilities. The mind's tendency to cling to the past can make you blind to the present. It can make you chase ghosts instead of embracing real connections. So if she is always in your thoughts, take a step back and ask yourself, is it really her that you miss, or is it the idea of her? Are you holding on to reality, or is your mind playing tricks, making her seem more important than she truly is? Sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that what we are clinging to isn't love, isn't destiny, and isn't a sign to go back. It's just our mind, replaying a story that was never meant to continue. The mind may try to hold on to her, but that doesn't mean your heart has to. Recognizing when nostalgia, idealization, or longing is clouding your judgment is the first step to letting go. And once you do, you make room for something real, something that isn't just a trick of the mind, but a true, present, and lasting connection. If she is always in your mind without any communication, it's natural to wonder, is she thinking about you too? It's a question that lingers in the back of your mind, whispering possibilities and stirring up emotions. The idea that someone could be out there holding on to the same thoughts, feeling the same unspoken connection is both comforting and tormenting. But the reality is, without communication, you can't truly know. And yet, the uncertainty keeps you attached to the idea of her, hoping that just maybe she's feeling the same way. Human connection is a powerful thing. When we care deeply about someone, it's hard to believe that the connection was one-sided. You remember the moments of laughter, the deep conversations, the way her eyes lit up when she saw you. Surely that meant something. Surely she wouldn't just forget. But time has a way of changing things. Feelings evolve, priorities shift, and what once felt unbreakable can fade without warning. The question isn't just whether she's thinking about you, but whether those thoughts still carry the same weight. Stop thinking about her. She must feel the same way. After all, how could she simply move on while you're still stuck in this mental loop? But people process emotions differently. Some choose to bury their thoughts and move forward, even when they still feel something. Others disconnect because it's easier than facing the weight of unresolved emotions. And sometimes the truth is simple but painful. She may not be thinking about you at all. That's a hard reality to accept. When you've given someone space in your mind and heart, you want to believe you still exist in theirs. You want to believe that what you shared meant enough to leave an imprint. But the absence of communication is communication in itself. If she wanted to reach out, she could. If she missed you enough, she would find a way to let you know. Silence speaks volumes, and sometimes it tells you exactly what you don't want to hear. But even knowing this, the mind still holds on. You start looking for signs. Maybe she liked an old photo of yours on social media. Maybe she asked a mutual friend about you. Or maybe she posted a quote that you swear is about you. When you miss someone, even the smallest coincidences feel like proof that the connection isn't over. But be honest with yourself. Are these real signs, or are they just your way of keeping hope alive? It's easy to see what we want to see when we're searching for meaning. Even if she is thinking about you, that doesn't necessarily mean she will come back. People can miss each other and still choose to stay apart. They can remember the good times while knowing deep down that moving forward is the right choice. Just because someone thinks of you doesn't mean they're meant to be in your life. And even if she does think of you, it may not be with the same intensity or longing that you feel. So what do you do with this uncertainty? How do you stop wondering if she's thinking about you? The answer isn't simple, but it starts with a shift in perspective. Instead of asking, is she thinking about me? Ask yourself, does it matter? Does her thinking about you change anything? Does it bring her back? Does it give you the closure you need? Or does it just keep you tethered to the past? If she is thinking about you and wants to reconnect, she will. If she isn't, then you deserve to find peace without waiting for an answer that may never come. Your worth isn't determined by whether or not someone still holds you in their thoughts. It's determined by how you move forward, how you heal, and how you allow yourself to open up to new possibilities. Thinking about someone doesn't mean you belong together. Missing someone doesn't mean they are meant to return. And wondering if she thinks of you is just another way of holding on to something that may no longer exist. Instead of staying trapped in the unknown, choose to focus on yourself. Let the past be what it was and trust that the right people, the ones meant to stay, will always find their way back. If she is always in your mind without any communication, you have to ask yourself an important question. Do you reach out and see if the connection is still there? Can't stay trapped in the cycle of wondering, waiting, and hoping. Eventually, you have to take action, either by making the effort to reconnect or by accepting that it's time to close this chapter for good. Sometimes people hesitate to reach out because of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disturbing the peace, or fear of discovering that the connection they once cherished is no longer there. It's easier to hold on to an idealized memory than to face the possibility that things have changed. But living in hesitation does not bring clarity. If she truly matters to you, if the weight of her absence is heavy, then the only way to find out where you stand is to take a step forward. Reaching out doesn't mean you have to declare undying love or pour your heart out. It can be as simple as a message, a small gesture to see if there's still a bridge between you two. Maybe she's been thinking about you two. Maybe she's been waiting for you to make the first move. Or maybe, just maybe, life has taken her in a different direction, and your message serves as a final confirmation that it's time to let go. But what if you reach out and she doesn't respond? Or worse, what if she responds with cold indifference? That's the risk.
Okay.
That's the part most people aren't ready to face. Yet, even in those moments, there is a gift, certainty. The unknown can be tormenting, but at least knowing the truth, even if it's not what you hoped for, allows you to move forward. Holding on to uncertainty is like carrying a weight you don't need. Once you drop it, you realize how much lighter you feel. On the other hand, there's the second option, the choice to let go without reaching out. This requires a deep level of self-awareness. Ask yourself, am I holding on to her because I truly want her back? Or am I holding on to the idea of her because it's familiar? Nostalgia has a way of making us cling to things that no longer serve us. We replay the good memories while ignoring the reasons why communication stopped in the first place. If you know deep down that reaching out won't change anything, then maybe the best thing you can do for yourself is to move on. Letting go isn't easy. It's not just about forgetting someone. It's about accepting that they are no longer meant to be in your life. It means resisting the urge to check her social media, resisting the temptation to analyze every little thing she posts, and resisting the habit of comparing every new connection to what you had with her. It means acknowledging that while she was important, her role in your story has ended. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting too long. They wait for a sign, for fate to intervene, for something to magically change. But waiting is a passive choice, and life doesn't wait. While you're stuck in limbo, opportunities are passing by, new people, new experiences, and new chances for happiness. By holding on to someone who isn't there, you might be missing out on someone who is. Taking action, whether it's reaching out or choosing to move on, is about reclaiming control over your emotions. It's about recognizing that you don't have to be at the mercy of your thoughts. If she matters enough, you'll find the courage to see where you stand. If not, you'll find the strength to walk away. Either way, you win. Either way, you free yourself from the endless cycle of wondering. So the question remains, do you reach out or do you let go? The answer is yours to decide. But one thing is certain, staying in between, trapped in your thoughts, will never bring you peace. Either you find out if there's still something there, or you move forward knowing you gave yourself the closure you needed. No matter which path you choose, one thing is clear. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to take action. If she is always in your mind, without any communication, the truth is, life goes on. No matter how deeply you feel, no matter how much she occupies your thoughts, time doesn't pause for unspoken emotions or unresolved connections. The world keeps moving forward, and so should you. Holding on to someone who isn't actively in your life can be exhausting, but the moment you accept that life continues, with or without her, is the moment you start to reclaim your own happiness. It's easy to feel stuck when someone lingers in your mind. You catch yourself daydreaming about what could have been, replaying old conversations, and wondering if she ever thinks about you. But the reality is, your thoughts won't change the situation. If she wanted to be in your life, she would be. If communication hasn't happened, there's a reason. Maybe she's moved on, or maybe she's waiting for you to reach out. Maybe life simply took you in different directions. Regardless of the reason, the fact remains, she's not here. And you can't live your life waiting for someone who may never return. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending that she never mattered. It simply means accepting that her role in your story has changed. Some people come into our lives to teach us lessons, to show us what love feels like, or to help us grow. But not everyone is meant to stay forever. And that's okay. The pain of letting go is temporary, but the freedom that comes with it is lasting. One of the hardest things about moving on is breaking the habit of thinking about her. The mind clings to what is familiar, and if she's been a constant presence in your thoughts, it can feel unnatural to let go. But just like any habit, this can be changed. Instead of dwelling on the past, focus on the present. Invest in yourself. Learn something new. Explore new places. Meet new people. The more you fill your life with new experiences, the less room there is for thoughts that keep you stuck. It's also important to recognize that longing for someone who isn't there often comes from within. Sometimes we believe we miss a person, when in reality, we miss the way they made us feel. We miss the excitement, the comfort, or the version of ourselves that existed when we were with them. But you don't need her to feel those things again. Happiness, love, and fulfillment aren't dependent on any one person. They come from within. You have the power to create new memories, to experience new joys, and to find new connections that are just as meaningful, if not more so. If she was meant to be in your life, she would be. If the universe wants your paths to cross again, they will. But you can't spend your life waiting for that moment. You have to move forward, trusting that what's meant for you will come at the right time. Life is too short to stay stuck in the past. There are too many beautiful moments waiting to be lived, too many incredible people waiting to be met, too much love waiting to be given, received. At some point, you have to make a choice. Do you keep holding on to someone who isn't here, or do you choose to open yourself up to the possibilities ahead? The past will always be a part of you, but it doesn't have to define you. The moment you decide to let go, you create space for something new. And that's where real freedom begins. She may always hold a place in your heart, but she doesn't have to hold you back. Life goes on, and so should you. Not because you have to forget her, but because you deserve to be fully present in your own life. The best way to honor what you once had is to keep moving forward, to keep growing, and to embrace all the experiences waiting for you. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll look back and realize that letting go was the best thing you ever did.